about the 152-pound weight class. This year's videos are sponsored by Rothman Orthopedic Institute. And at 152 pounds, we're looking at a weight class with a wide variety of contenders. But Joe, let's start off with the favorite, the #1 ranked wrestler in our top 8, that's Nick O'Connell of Southern.
Well, Nick O'Connell started the year at 160, and about midway during the season, he came down to 152, and he was not the same wrestler. He was tremendous, and Southern followed suit. O'Connell already has a 12-3 win over the #2 ranked wrestler at 152, and that's Cody Harrison of Phillipsburg. Now, you know, the Phillipsburg faithful will tell you that Harrison had broke 2 fingers during the duel, and that had something to do with the outcome. And maybe it did a little bit, but 9 points is a lot of points to make up. O'Connell is really, when you see him up close, he's much bigger than he looks from a distance. He's very strong, he's very technically sound, and seems like every good wrestler in New Jersey, he's going to Cornell.
Now, like we said, there are so many wrestlers in this weight class who could make some names. So, Bill, let's go where you've seen the most wrestling, South Jersey, Region 7 and 8, and we've got a couple returning state place winners.
Yeah, Nick Bennett from Delsey was a state finalist last year. He made a tremendous run to the state final at 145 pounds. You'll remember him as the guy that held up the 2 fingers at the end after he finished second. You know, he's definitely in the mix. He got knocked off in the region semis by Connor Kraus of St. Augustine in the final seconds. He'd beaten Kraus 2-1 earlier in the year, so Kraus is another guy to look out for. And then the Region 7 champ from Paulsboro is George Worthy. He was pretty dominant in the regions, and he's looked good for you know, most of this year. You know, these guys are kind of beating each other. Bennett beat Worthy. You know, Worthy, I think, had beaten Kraus at one point, but you know, Brandon Mooney from Camden Catholic was in that mix too. But you know, there's a lot of guys there. You know, Bennett and Worthy are the 2 guys that have kind of had that state run before and could do so again. Yeah,
we've talked a lot about O'Connell and Worthy, but Pat, I know there are so many wrestlers at this weight class who could make some noise, so why don't you go through a bunch of them for us?
I'm really looking forward to these quarterfinals because I think there are a lot of guys in the mix. I'll do this really quickly for you, Mike. Matt Byer from Pascack Valley, a guy, 1 loss. He was in the rankings at 1 point. Robbie Garcia from Pope John missed time with a concussion. He's a returning state medalist. Dante Stefanelli from Del Barton, Region 3 champion, who defeated Justin LeMay from West Morris. And the last guy maybe no one's talking about is Ian McCabe from Monroe, just a real tough, solid kid out of the GMC.
Joe, we're about to make our picks at 152 pounds. We've rattled off a lot of names. Who are you picking to be our champion?
Well, I'm going to go with Nick O'Connell from Southern. I just think he has a really good mix of aggression and patience and skill, and I think he can handle any kind of wrestler in front of him, so I think he's going to win the title.
Bill, O'Connell's our #1 ranked wrestler going into this tournament. Is he your pick for champion?
I think he is. I was hoping to see him against Bennett in the region final, because I think Bennett's kind of one of those wild card type guys that can beat anybody. You know, he ended up against Kraus and won that one pretty handily. But I think O'Connell is probably the most solid guy here, and I think he's probably the guy to win it.
Pat, a lot of names at 152. Are you making this 3 for 3?
No, I'm not. I'm going to go with, I don't see a lot of South Jersey guys too often being up north, but a guy that I have seen is George Worthy, and I think he's really strong, dedicated, comes from that great Paulsboro program. So I'm going to go a little different here and go with George Worthy from Paulsboro.
That wraps up our preview of the 152-pound weight class. Keep it locked on NJ.com/HSWrestling. We'll have live video from all 3 days at Boardwalk Hall, every round of the boys and girls tournaments, plus results, brackets, photos, and more.